MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got an inspiring entrepreneur. His name's Rishav Juglall. He is the founder and MD of Rocky Brands. And before the break, we were talking about, the mindset of the entrepreneur, because I see, if you look at the stats around entrepreneurship, we've all heard that 96% of businesses fail within a 10-year period. So you sorted, you passed that point. But the interesting thing is 90% of those 96% just give up because they get a setback, and then they get winded, not just wounded, but winded from that, and they can't get up again. So there's this piece of perseverance that you have to have. So maybe share with us some of those times, and what to share with other entrepreneurs what it takes in order to push through those dark moments.
Definitely. And perseverance is one of the key characteristics for any entrepreneur, and I think that it's that coupled with a thick skin. And we live in a world where there's people who don't always want to see you do well. In the Indian community, there's a saying that goes that people want to see you do well just as long as you're not doing better than them. And that's always the truth, especially in entrepreneurship. So one of our customers, the guy knew that we had hot product. It was saleable to the hilt, and I don't know what it was, but they weren't giving us the opportunity to list. And it comes with the how can I say this? It's so important to have the ability to turn the no into a yes, but having the mindset to know that you've got to push through this. You've got to see the end goal and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think one of the most challenging points for me was when we started our local brand called Clean Start, and it was up against the importing brand that we were bringing in. The problem is having brought in product from USA, it comes with its own tariffs, US exchange rates, and all the rest, and that product was really, really expensive on shelf. And customers were reluctant to spend 150 Rand for a product, a cleaning product. And a cleaning product off the bat is a grudge purchase when you go into store. Nobody goes to store excited to buy a cleaning product. So we decided to launch a local brand that spoke to the consumers and was priced accordingly. And the buyers were not having it. They were like, you don't know what you're doing. You've spent so many years building this brand. Now you want to retract from that and put something completely new in it, in retail. And it took probably about 12 to 36 months for them to understand where the market was moving. And part of being a strong entrepreneur is having the vision to see 3, 4, and several steps down the line. And we knew that just coming out of COVID, the consumer is not willing to spend close to $200 on a cleaning product. We have to offer them something that is priced right for the consumer's pocket. Because just after COVID, people became very cash strapped. And, most entrepreneurs, they price themselves out of the market and not having the understanding of walking the aisles and knowing where you sit in line with your competition and having the ability to call it at an early stage. So I think because in our field, we walk we in retail all the time, every week, to understand what our competitors are doing and how do we level up in retail. A lot of people sit behind the desk and operate their business without having that consumer insight. And the most valuable thing is listening to what your consumers have to say. If you do not take heed of that, you're setting yourself up for disaster. One other thing I can say is sales is probably the life's blood of any business. That 96% that you quoted earlier on is probably because the entrepreneur did not focus enough or spend enough time on the sales leg of it. Without the inflow of cash, you're going to die a slow and painful death.
So let's talk about cash, because growing businesses require cash. And you spoke about Nedbank's your banker, but what you needed when you were in the garage, and what you need now is a different story, and and there's a lot more sophistication. And just take us through the, let's call it the finance story of a business. And you can refer to some references in your business, but just generally give us a lesson to any entrepreneur scaling, what they need to be thinking about.
Definitely. So, like I mentioned earlier on, when we started importing the product, we didn't have too much of infrastructure to have in South Africa, because we imported finished goods. And then when we made the transition into locally produced product, we had to get a filling line. We had to get compressors, make molds of the bottles, and all of that costs money. We actually went through to a lovely funder out there in South Africa called the IDC. Took us almost 18 months to get funding from them. And what they did is they helped us put infrastructure at our mega facility in River Sands. And they come in and they did due diligence for about 8 or 9 months of that 18 months. And they helped us understand more about the business and what we need to be focusing on. So a lot of the time, your front of house, you're kind of light in terms of your spend, and your back of house being your production and your staff, your blue collar staff members, is where that's where you need to spend a lot of your spend, right? So they helped us come in from a systems point of view, system, software, CapEx, and working capital. So they had a fully fledged plan for us to put infrastructure into the business, but more importantly, help us with the cash flow to run our business for the next 36 months. And I think having the ability to see where we are now and what we're going to need in the next 3 years, that's very important.
Yeah. The saying is that you should go to the well once, to have enough cash, because to your point, having the capital to buy the machinery is the one thing. Having the cash flow to operate, and then having the stock, and because etc., the working capital is another thing. And often what happens is we don't get enough of the finance, and the wrong type of finance.
Yes.
We're going to have to take a break now. When we come back, we're going to continue our storytelling by Rishav. Stay tuned.
MTN SME Hub, link to business success.